welcome back to my garden. During the week, I watched a very interesting video essay on YouTube. It was fairly standard stuff, and the idea that was presented, and suggestions, and nothing particularly new, but it grabbed my attention because it made me aware that on a small, not particularly important detail, I had it all wrong, factually, I guess, as do, I suspect, many other people. So the video lured me in right on the outset, because the suggestion, I can't remember the exact title, but it was something like, on why you should care less. Now, I might be turning a much better title into something more clickbaity, but as you will see, that's really the part of the theme of this week's video. So, the presenter spoke about the origins of the word troll in the internet sense, in the virtual world that we live in. Now, I personally, like I suspect many other people, always thought that troll was a sort of metaphorical use of those fantasy creatures. I read Mike Tolkien, I liked Peter Jackson's movies. It just made sense that that's what a troll was. And it kept on being presented in that way to me. Internet trolls. Well, we're talking about characters, personalities, so troll kind of went with the territory. And an internet troll is, after all, in certainly the way I thought of it, a sort of nasty lowlife. A bit brutish, not at all subtle, a troll. Ugly, malevolent trolls. But that's not where the word comes from, apparently, according to this video essay, and on closer inspection, Wikipedia concurs. No, troll, and I had no idea about this because it's not an activity that I'm even remotely interested in. Trolling is a type of fishing. It's when you bait a line and slowly drag it behind a boat. Rather like trawling is when you drag a net behind a boat. So it sort of, I don't know if it's connected at all. They didn't mention on the Wikipedia page that I was looking at. Actually, I did find something out also quite interesting, that perhaps it was first used in this as a sort of a metaphor, as a means of describing American fighter pilot techniques in Vietnam, where the F-whatevers, 14s, 15s, I don't know the numbers, in their sort of duels with MiGs, would have a kind of plane as a lure to try and drag fighter planes out of formation. Fascinating, or not. At any rate, nothing to do with fantasy creatures. And when the video sort of delves a little bit more deeply, we think, or I would think, of the troll as being typically a person who would write some god-awful comment to a video to, wind you up. And that fitted with my idea of trolling, that it was this a very aggressive, mean-spirited attack. But another way of looking at it is really the content itself is trolling you. And what it is doing is presenting an idea that sort of, well, does wind you up, but almost forces your hand to make a comment. You feel compelled to say something in outrage more often than not. And it seems that in the sense that I thought of it before, when I was thinking of trolling, it was really a sort of sport being played by an unpleasant, a sort of verbal joust being played by an unpleasant individual anonymously on the internet for their own sort of self-aggrandizement, or massaging their egos, or just being spiteful, whatever. But the essay suggests that really what it's all about is marketing. And they used one example of a typical sort of internet troll, Andrew Tate. If you're not familiar with this gentleman, he is a truly horrible man, apparently grooming, sex trafficking, just a nasty individual. But much of his nastiness is done to just boost the popularity of his videos, to lure people in, and he's making money from it. You have 1 million and something views. Well, there's money to be made, and very often this kind of what seems on the surface aggressive, violent behavior. I mean, it's a business decision. It is a form of marketing. All publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad. That kind of idea. But they went a bit further, and they suggested another kind of example of contemporary trolling. And I'd never thought about this in that sense. Well, I hadn't really thought about it terribly much. It's not an area that interests me. But I mean, you'll follow along, even if you, like me, haven't actually been drawn to this as a sort of topic. Film companies have taken to making films with politically correct, shall we say, castings, or alternative castings that play with our preconceptions of what a character might look like. The idea of playing, of a black man playing Jesus, which is, of course, is not preposterous at all from some sort of realistic perspective. Quite obviously, if we think of the Arab world, the Middle East, 2,000 years ago, well, people weren't white. They were shades of brown and tending towards black. That makes perfect, that makes sense. So getting a black man to play the character certainly has a sort of a justification, an argument behind it from this sort of perspective of realism. But is that why they're doing it? And of course, the argument in the video essay is no. What they're waiting for is all sorts of people to start banging on a drum about how wokeness is destroying the world, how politically correctness has taken a grip of society and devastated every element that of our culture that should be sacred. And of course, the argument of the video essay was, well, they know people are going to take offence at this sort of assault on their worldview, and it's going to generate publicity. And after people pile in saying how this is political correctness gone mad, people will fight back against them, saying, "No, you fools! In what world was Jesus possibly, blue-eyed, blonde, pale-skinned chap? No." And of course, that's what the film company wants. They are doing this as a sort of cynical marketing ploy. Or maybe they're not. But in this case, what the presenter of the argument was suggesting is, no, they know what they're doing. And recently, and I do worry about making sort of political references after a few episodes back, and I'm going to leave it at that. And definitely the title to this will avoid all possible references that might drag people into the content that I'm about to mention. Because dear old Elon, with his banging his heart and then his salute, was it a Nazi salute? Or was he just sending out a message of love to his fans, sort of in the emotion, heat of the moment, unaware of what he was doing? And the argument would be, no, he was trolling people. He was doing it knowing full well that people are going to get in a big argument about this, and it's publicity, and it's good for his cause. And so it seems to me this is not a good place we find ourselves in. And it was interesting discovering that Troll had this fishy quality to it. It sort of fits in nicely with clickbait. Two fish metaphors. Interesting. And how does that make us feel? Well, on reflection, it should make us feel like innocent little fish about to be dragged to the frying pan, hook, line and sinker. Bit of a mangled metaphor, but never mind, it's that sort of video. And I think the argument made in this video essay was that we must stop caring, that we must simply avoid any sort of comment, any sort of reaction, because the people throwing this stuff out at us, whether it's the clickbaity titles or the trolling content, do not have our best interests at heart. They want to manipulate us, and we need to avoid that and fight back. And the only way to fight back is simply by ignoring it, which isn't easy to do. Certainly in the political world, it isn't easy to do. But I think in every other sphere, it's a challenge. And it strikes me that all we can do is make good things with good intentions and share them sincerely and build our audience relate to our community, share in a slow, organic sort of way, and resist the temptation to bait the hook. Yeah, so that's it. As always, I do hope your lives are filled with joy. I would love it if you left a comment. And until next week from a sunny Brazil, ciao.